My beloved child, the answer you have long yearned for with restless longing is being unveiled to you in this very moment. This is not coincidence, but the final response I have prepared for you. Indeed, the one and only opportunity you may take hold of. Do not measure my love by the speed of my reply, for at times silence itself is the cloak of mercy. Do not hastily assume that delay means neglect, for I never turn my face away from your petitions. My love is not to be understood in hurried moments, but in the perfect timing I choose to touch your life. You often see delay as abandonment, yet in truth it is but a mirror reflecting the frailty of the human heart. When I have not yet answered, your soul splinters under the weight of weary thoughts, and darkness seizes the chance to whisper that I do not hear. Yet even in that silence I am forging your faith, stripping away your habit of control. My love is not measured in hours or minutes, but in the wisdom you gain through what seems like meaningless waiting. Whenever a door remains closed, you think I have denied you, but I am only shielding you from what is not yet ready. You ask for a path, yet if granted too soon, it could lead you into ruin. So I shut it not to disappoint you, but to guard your soul for a safer moment. Waiting is not the end of the story, but the workshop where your heart is refined so that when the true door opens, you are mature enough to cross its threshold without collapsing. Old wounds often whisper that you are too late, unworthy of grace. Yet I have never named you with such labels. You are not the sum of failures nor of tears, shed but fresh soil after the rain where new life may spring forth. Your worth is not found in what you lost, but in the unconditional love I bestowed upon you from the very beginning. That love shatters the chains of the past, teaching you to rise again and move forward. Fear is always eager to creep into the dark corners of your soul, whispering that you are alone in my delay. But my child, let faith speak louder than every lie. Faith does not deny fear. It stands firm, even while fear rages. I am the lighthouse that never forsakes, guiding you through the long nights where no shore is visible. Believe this, every breath, every whisper in the night reaches me. And when you choose trust over fear, it is then that my love will illuminate your path. Fear does not knock with loud noise. It slips in like a cold wind, filling the empty places left when your faith trembles. You tell yourself, I have been silent too long, that I have abandoned you in your darkest days. In that very moment, fear finds shelter, growing the whispers that you are unloved and unheard. But I tell you, fear is only a distorted shadow of truth. If you grant it power, your heart becomes a battlefield and your trust erodes day by day. Faith is not a dazzling shield that appears all at once. It is a steady choice renewed each day to believe I am here even when unseen. Fear surrounds you with questions. What if God never answers? What if he does not hear? But faith replies, I know he is at work even when I see no results. When you walk by faith, you are no longer tossed about by storms, but become like a rock, unmovable. Fear is fleeting, but faith endures. Do you remember the story of Elisha and his servant? One morning the enemy surrounded the city, and the servant trembled in terror. But Elisha said calmly, Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those against us. Then he prayed that I would open his servant's eyes, and he saw the mountains ablaze with chariots of fire. Do you see? The victory did not depend on the number of foes, but on the vision of faith. If your eyes rest only on danger, you drown in worry. But when I open your eyes, you realize my love surrounds you more fiercely than fear ever could. You often mistake faith for a surge of emotion, but it is, in fact, the decision to silence the voices of dread within. Faith is standing firm, though your feelings tremble. It is whispering, Lord, I trust you, though peace has not yet come. Every time you choose faith over fear, you give me entry to scatter the darkness. Remember, fear is a chain unseen, but faith is the key to freedom. And when you are free, you will recognize that my love has never ceased to move. My child, when fear is overcome, the door of patience begins to open. For faith not only steadies you against trembling, but trains your heart to wait upon me in silence. When you learn to stand firm in faith, you will see that waiting is not an empty void, but the time I use to mold you. And in that shaping, you will come to know that My love is not measured by swiftness, but by the growth you gain in each moment of waiting. You sigh in the waiting, thinking I ignore your prayers. You watch your clock and believe time is wasted. But understand, when I let you wait, I am not abandoning you. I am strengthening your hands and feet to bear the blessing at the appointed time. Just as a potter never lifts the vessel from the kiln before it has endured the fire, I will not place into your hands what you ask while your faith remains fragile. Waiting is the fire not to consume, but to purify. Do you remember Joseph in Egypt's prison? I gave him dreams of greatness, yet he was sold as a slave, falsely accused and cast into confinement. To human eyes, those years were wasted youth. But to me, they were a training ground where Joseph learned to govern his heart before governing a nation. Had the throne come too soon, its weight would have crushed him. But because he endured the shaping and hidden darkness, he became the instrument to save his people from famine. Waiting, my child, is not a void, but the classroom I have prepared for your soul. In silence, I teach you humility, to place your trust not in results, but in the giver of all outcomes. Remember the words of Scripture. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. That strength does not come from obtaining your desires in haste, but from patient endurance, as I strengthen every fiber of your spirit. The greatest pain of waiting is not its length, but the whisper that everything is over. Yet beware, for that is but the cunning trap of the enemy, urging you to surrender before the miracle unfolds. If you quit in despair, you walk away from the forge just before I am ready to birth something new. So I say to you, stand firm, do not retreat. For if you endure, you will emerge from waiting with strength you never knew you carried. And when you learn to love the wait, your heart softens, your eyes open to truths far deeper than a quick reply. You will see that my love has never been absent, not even in silence. Waiting is the thread that weaves faith into hope, darkness into light. Once you taste this truth, you will no longer measure my love by passing days, but by the maturity planted within you through each season of waiting. There are nights when you look back on your life and see only scars. You recall childhood's lack, repeated mistakes, tears unseen by others. Then you think I am nothing but the product of my failures. But I tell you, that is but dust covering not your essence. You are not brokenness, but a masterpiece under restoration. My love will never allow those wounds to have the final word over your worth. No matter how dark your past, it holds no authority over the future I have prepared. Do you remember the woman caught in adultery, dragged before me? The crowd clutched stones, ready to end her life with the weight of her shame. Yet I said, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. And as each stone fell, so too did the burden of her past. Do you see, I not only forgive, I redefine you, no longer named by sin, but by mercy. Often it is you who nail yourself to old memories, clinging to labels of unworthy, and too late as though they were truth. Yet such words have never come from me. I do not view you through the lens of your failures, but through the light of the cross. There every wound becomes a testimony of grace. I do not erase your past, I transform it into the canvas for a new creation. If you look at yourself only through what was lost, you will live like a tree severed from its roots. But if you abide in my love, you will be as a garden after rain, where barren branches bloom again. Remember Job, who sat in ashes, believing his life had ended. Yet I did not let his wounds define him, and I restored to him twice what he had lost. So it is, wounds are not the end, but the place where I begin anew in abundance. And when you learn to walk unchained from old labels, you will be free to receive the new things I am doing. Forgiving yourself is not denial of mistakes, but acceptance of my gaze upon you, a gaze untouched by the past, filled only with hope. Only when you let go of what lies behind can you move forward into freedom and love awaiting you. You may carry burning memories, scars left by others, believing that clinging to them is the only way your pain will not be forgotten. But my child, the more you clutch bitterness, the deeper you lock yourself in an invisible prison. Those who hurt you may already have forgotten, but you become your own jailer. Forgiveness is not agreement with injustice, but entrusting judgment to me. When you release, you are not weak. You discover the strength to walk free. At times you desire swift justice, longing for me to punish those who wronged you. Yet remember, my justice is not like man's. I do not overlook the tears you have shed, but I see beyond what your eyes behold. Joseph stood before the brothers who sold him. He could have chosen vengeance, yet he chose forgiveness. That very decision opened the way for a nation's salvation. Had he clung to hatred, my blessing would never have arrived. Forgiveness does not mean erasing what happened, but refusing to let it dictate your path. To forgive is to break the invisible chains binding your soul. You will find yourself lighter, your sight no longer clouded by rage. Forgiveness is the whisper, Lord, I trust you to be just on my behalf. And as you trust, your heart is healed little by little, not by time, but by the power of my love. Forgiveness is also the path that shapes you to be like me. For I have forgiven you, though your debt was far greater than what others have done to you. If I have cleared the ledger, you could never repay. Why should you let one wound enslave your life? Remember, when you forgive, you reflect my face to the world. And in that reflection, you cease to be a victim, becoming instead a bearer of new life to others. As you step through the door of forgiveness, you will realize it is also the doorway into true freedom. Freedom to love without fear, freedom to live unburdened by the past. Forgiveness liberates not only others, but your very self. And once your heart is free, you will walk humbly in trust, not driven by vengeance, but carried by mercy's strength. My child, miracles do not unfold while you sit waiting for heaven to drop blessings into your lap. Miracles come when you step forward, even with trembling feet. Humility is not self-degradation, but seeing yourself through my eyes instead of the world's judgment. Trust is not knowing the path, but placing your hand in mine, letting me guide you through shadowed turns. And with every step you will see my power at work even before you understand fully. Remember Naaman, the great commander, struck with leprosy. He expected a grand miracle, yet I told him simply to wash 7 times in the Jordan. Humility demanded he lay aside pride, and when he obeyed, his flesh became as pure as a child's. Had he clung to arrogance, he would have lost healing. Do you see? The miracle did not lie in the grandeur of the act, but in humble obedience and trust in my word. There are days when you think you can do nothing more than take one small step at a time. Yet know this, I see every effort, every drop of sweat you pour out in being faithful in the little things. From that place you are being trained to carry the greater. You do not need to appear strong before others, for when you are weak, it is then that my power is revealed more fully. Humility does not diminish you, it causes you to grow in grace. Do not chase after the fleeting lights that the world promises, for such lights quickly fade. Walk slowly upon the path I have set, and you will see each step sow seeds of blessing for yourself and for those around you. Trust is not fastening yourself to results, but remaining faithful day by day, even when no one sees. And when you continue to sow in silence with perseverance, the harvest will arrive in unexpected abundance. Beloved child, I have led you through. Fear taught you how to wait, healed you from the past, opened the door of forgiveness, and now I guide you to walk in humility. Each step is a journey, each scar a witness of my love. And as you walk in trust, you will no longer measure my love by swiftness or delay. You will see that this love covers every moment, timely, complete, and overflowing, so that your life may become a living testimony of the one who never abandons you. Hear me whisper again as a father sitting close, holding your trembling hand and looking deep into your eyes until every doubt recedes. There are things I will gently place within your heart to nurture, and there are things I will draw away from your life by allowing them to depart. Do not misunderstand, every departure I permit has been carefully weighed as a gardener selects which plants to uproot, so that the garden may breathe, the soil be opened, and new sprouts may rise. I never tear your bonds apart in haste. I cherish each thread woven into you. And when I untangle a knot, it is not cruelty but healing, cutting the cords that bind you to the small hell of resentment and old pain so that your steps may grow lighter. Trust me, each time you must let go. Do not see loss as an irreparable void, for I can turn the path of departure into a corridor of grace. Where you think you are broken, I will use my merciful hand to rebuild, to join the fragments into a shape more beautiful and enduring, allowing the lifeblood of your story to breathe again. I have prepared not with sudden grand gestures, but with meticulous grace, new relationships that will come like warm winds, dispelling the cold that once made you shiver. There will be friends who appear in your life like home, not only standing by you in the dry seasons, but giving you a place to return, a place to rest your head and weep without fear of reproach. And the teachers I have set along your way are not judges, but empathetic guides who awaken the gifts and calling within you with encouraging eyes and wise counsel. They will touch the capacities you have not dared to trust and breathe new life into them. I arrange companions of faith to support you when your steps grow weary. They will not repay your weakness with judgment, but will sit with you, share the burden, and remind you that rising again is possible. Do not consider community a luxury for the spiritually rich. Community is the shelter for your tender heart, a roof against heavy rains, a circle of arms open when you are lost. Be brave enough to step into that embrace. Allow yourself to be seen, not hiding your wounds like tarnished gold. Let others behold them, that I might use their very hands to heal you. For often I heal not with lightning from above, but through those I place beside you. You tremble at paths unmarked by footsteps, shudder at turns you have never known, and guard yourself against doors, just ajar for fear of losing your way. But I have not placed you in a maze for mockery. I am leading you in a story whose end has already been written, a story in which, when you look back, you will see every loss as a staging ground for fulfillment. When I urge you to step forward, it is not a demand to abandon care. It is an invitation into a journey I take with you. I do not let go of your hand when you begin to walk, rather. My presence grows clearer around the steps of obedience. Indeed, when you dare to step out of your comfort, I make each of your steps shine brighter, like one holding a lamp behind your shadow, lighting the path so you will not stumble. Do not believe that obedience leaves you alone. Your surrender unveils what I desire to do. Your faith is the tinder with which I ignite the fire of action in your story. Let me explain to you a simple truth you often forget. Letting go is not destruction, but the making of room for the new. I know well the things you cling to, for I have seen every crease in your heart, every moment you clutch the past like a life jacket in a storm. When I take the shears, I cut away what collapses you, not because I am cruel, but because I see your future shining more brightly once it is removed. Let me be the tailor of your life. Let me strip away outdated cloth, mend what is torn, and sew into it a new fabric I have woven with love and purpose. Do not fear the chasm of loss. That is where I sow the seed, and the seed requires empty ground to take root. Remember that I am Lord over every beginning. When one door closes, I open another frame already carefully prepared. New friends, teachers, companions who become family, all of these I have set aside like gifts in store, awaiting the day I hand them to you. You may see only emptiness, but I behold the whole painting. You may see ashes, but I see the layers of color being laid, so that the final portrait will bear the imprint of both me and you intertwined. So do not rush to conclusions based on passing emotions. Do not believe the light has failed simply because the night has come. I am ordering your life with a design better than the one you imagined, not to restrain you, but to preserve you for what is more beautiful. Be courageous enough to let your eyes open and your heart be seen. Do not hide behind shame or fear of exposure. When you allow yourself to be seen, you grant me and your companions the nearness to soothe your wounds. That is the truest act of courage, to acknowledge your fragility and let grace make you strong. You will discover that the relationships I give do not erase the past, but heal it. They do not blot out memory, but wrap wounds with encouragement, with acts of service, with steady presence. And within that community, you will learn again how to love, how to trust, how to give without demand, and how to receive without shame. And do not forget when you walk in, my calling trials are not proof that I have forgotten you, but tests to refine your faith. Each time you respond with obedience instead of fear, I grow in you a quiet courage, not loud and brash, but steady, as roots gripping the earth when storms rise. It is the small, faithful, steady steps that create the great journey. I do not require you to be perfect before walking. I only ask that you walk with humility, admitting your need of me, choosing to trust my providence above your own worry. Believe that I am at work even when you see no sign. I turn hearts, arrange circumstances, and open ways for grace to arrive at the appointed time. Sometimes I send a friend just as you are near collapse. Sometimes I place a teacher in your life to awaken hidden strength. Sometimes I allow bitter circumstances to teach lessons no book could give. But all of this serves one purpose: to shape you into the child I envisioned from the beginning, free, loving, generous, unbound by the past, unafraid of the future, living in the light of mercy. When you grasp this, every surrender will cease to feel like meaningless loss and become instead a step drawing you closer to my heart. So, beloved child, answer the call, lay down the burdens that weigh your steps, receive community as the crutch that lifts you when your legs grow weary, and keep walking though the file seems unfinished. Let me be your guide. Let me choose for you the friends, the teachers, the companions, and let me turn the endings you fear into radiant beginnings. For as you walk in humility and trust, you become a living witness to one simple yet magnificent truth: I will never leave you alone on the road to fulfillment. Hear these words as you would hear a plain melody played in a familiar room, not grandiose but whole and true. My remembrance of you is not a fragile memory fading with time. It is an unwavering gaze, a tireless attention fixed upon you with unshakable delight. I do not write you into a ledger and forget. I hold you in. My heart, like an artisan, cherishes a treasured work, tending to every detail, seeing each scar as part of the story, smiling at each crease that makes the form unique. And when you wonder if I might tire of you, still I smile. I do not grow weary of you, for your weakness and your courage alike make you essential to my heart. I delight in the way you dare to show courage, especially when you believe no one is watching. There are moments you do quiet kindness without announcement, a whispered word of comfort, a shared meal, a smile offered to a stranger. I see these and am moved. Your small acts are seeds I treasure, for within your small hands lies a great spirit, one that can place others above yourself, one that loves without seeking reward. When you open your hand to help in your lack, I look with pride, not because you have done something extraordinary, but because you chose love even when your capacity was limited. From such small sprouts, the garden of grace grows silent yet powerful. I am touched by the simple gestures you offer. I hear every breath you take, every whisper in your chest. You have doubted. Does my voice matter at all, beloved? Your trembling words, your fragmented pleas in the night, your murmured help me when strength is gone, all reach where I sit. I do not measure the worth of your prayers by fluency or order. I cherish every sound, for they rise from an honest place. Your prayers need not be eloquent nor perfectly formed. I look to the heart, and the heart preserves every gesture, every sigh, every hope. Even in silence, the yearning of your soul is heard. I hear with a sense that transcends words. Do not think that words barely formed cannot reach me. You may whisper with a broken voice, you may repeat the same prayer 100 times. You may only lift a breath saying, I need you. I answer such words in my way, not always as you imagine, but always rightly, timely, and full of love. Sometimes I send comfort through a friend, sometimes through a gentle sleep, sometimes through a sudden recognition that breaks your tears and heals them in the same moment. At times I remain silent, but my silence is not neglect. It is a silence rich with sweetness, a silence that teaches you to hear yourself, to sense my presence, not in clamor but in peace. I do not judge you by grammar or phrasing. I touch the deeper places where prayers and cries are born. Some prayers sound rough and broken, yet they carry a whole sky of sincerity. I hold those trembling words tenderly, for only when you allow yourself to be fragile do you allow me to draw near and heal. Do not belittle your voice out of fear of reproach. Do not torment yourself for unpolished words. I cherish honesty above all form. When you open your heart without concealment, I rejoice like a father watching a child return home, even if the garments are still stained with mud. Let me remind you of the worth of every small thing. In a world clamoring for achievement, you easily forget that the tiny things form the essence of character. A protective kiss, a sincere apology, an hour of listening, all are precious to me. These are not showy acts. They are sown into the soil daily, seeping into hearts, growing in the way I know best. Do not undervalue yourself when you give what seems little. I observe and multiply in secret. I do not ask for vast riches, only a heart surrendered. And know this, in your most fragile offerings of love, you reflect my image for another to see. You may fear being forgotten, but I do not forget. There are names I hold within my heart as precious gems. I remember every detail, the memories you think are insignificant, the steps you believe to be meaningless, and I use them to shape the days ahead when the time is ripe. Therefore, do not judge yourself too quickly by what you see in the present. I am painting a picture with many layers and many colors, one that may bewilder you because you cannot yet see its fullness. Be patient, it is the small fragments preserved and placed in their proper place that create a harmony far greater than anything you imagine. When you listen and know you are seen, let your story reach another. I want you to recognize that no heart is meant to endure alone. My presence often arrives through the hands of companions, a friend who shares a teacher, who shields a stranger, who sits near you while you weep. These people I have set along your path with purpose. They are gifts I send, sometimes clothed in unexpected forms. To receive them is to allow grace to flow through channels of blessing. Do not fear to open the door. Do not close your heart for fear of more hurt. It is within community that wounds are healed and trust is restored. Remember that I treasure honesty above all outward appearance. When you dare to face your own darkness, when you acknowledge weakness and whisper for help, that is an act of courage greater than any loud declaration. I do not ask you to wear perfect armor. I ask you to be real, so I may draw near and act. Know that I love the small steps, the fragmented prayers, the imperfect deeds. I delight in using what is humble to build what is great. Allow me to turn the remnants of your past into the foundation of a healed future. When you pour out your heart even in faint breath, do not fear the repetition. I am captivated by your voice. There will be times you feel as though you repeat the same plea like a child calling for its mother in the night. But it is precisely this persistence that opens the space for me to answer in my way. Do not let your trembling voice cause you to shrink back. Continue speaking, continue pouring out, continue asking. I do not punish helplessness. I respond with gentleness, teaching you to stand, granting you strength to walk. And when you perceive that I have heard, do not let pride arise. Remain in gratitude. For all that I give is not because you are more worthy than another, but because I love. Such receiving should make you humble, open, and willing to give back, giving back compassion, giving back hope, giving back your presence to others. That is the higher purpose, to be a vessel through which others may glimpse me in your life. My beloved, do not close yourself off. Do not think that the smallest prayers hold no value. Speak, weep, whisper, sing. All reach my ears, and I receive them with reverence. Whether trembling or strong, I gaze upon you with delight, pouring out unwearied care. Let my remembrance be the foundation of your life, a safe ground where you may be seen, may fail, may rise again. When you express, I listen. When you release, I embrace. When you walk, I walk beside you. This is my promise to you, an unshakable word forever fixed upon where you stand. Sit with me that I may recount the story you have hidden, not to judge, but to gather the fragments and arrange them anew. Bring me the dreams you set aside in fear, the longings you placed on a shelf, the thoughts you buried in darkness, believing them too shameful to speak. Bring me your confessions that shrink your heart, your failures you wish to hide as marks of disgrace, for I know how to take sharp edges into my hands without letting them wound you again. I know you fear that if you speak, I will turn away, that your truest words will repulse me. But my child, I do not step back. I do not cast off what has hurt you. I touch those very places with hands trained to cradle wounds, unafraid of blood, filled with a love tempered by storms. In my hands, jagged fragments cease to threaten. I gather them, smooth their edges, and set them together like an artisan of mosaics, each piece holding its story, but arranged by my design into a portrait of mercy and resurrection. I know how to turn sighs you thought final into rests that begin a new melody. I gather your tears, and instead of discarding them, I keep them as water for your dry season, for tears, when acknowledged, become a wellspring of healing. You may not yet see it, but I am sending help in forms you do not always recognize. I do not always arrive with lightning and fanfare. More often I come quietly, a passing thought, a stirring in your heart that moves you to call, to apologize, to reach out to an old friend. I come as gentle courage, urging you to do the hard thing, to call the one who needs your voice, to ask forgiveness of the one you wounded, to accept help you thought you had to refuse. I come as sudden forgiveness rising within like a life preserver appearing in waves you thought would drown you. I come as sleep arriving when your face is weary and your mind overwhelmed. I come as a soft reminder. Rest when you drive yourself too hard. Do not despise small beginnings. Greatness rarely arrives with thunder. A mighty river begins as a forgotten spring. A vast forest once was a tender sprout beneath fallen leaves. Drink from these small streams. They nourish the strength you will need for the long journey. When I grant direction, it is not often a staircase built to the summit, but the next step, a solid stone beneath your foot, so you may move forward without falling. Motivation does not arrive as a command from outside, but as the language of faith, beginning with one step, then another, until each step builds upon firm ground, leading you to where I intend. Do not conclude too quickly that help has not come simply because it does not match your expectation. You often wait for a grand sign, a loud announcement, a program titled, "Rescue Begins Now." In truth, I move at another rhythm, quiet, patient, sowing grace like seeds unseen, until in their season they spring forth with surprise. Let me teach you the subtle art of recognizing help in humble form. Listen for the whisper of intuition as an inner map. When a thought rises in you, it may be my hand on your shoulder saying, "Do this." When courage stirs suddenly to make a call, it may be my arrangement waiting behind it. Do not scorn what is small. Do not despise quiet beginnings. This is often the language I use to rewrite your life. You have asked me, why does help sometimes come late, or in ways so different from what I hoped? You forget that I am the storyteller who sees the whole, not just a single chapter, but the entire book of your life. At times I delay not to withhold, but to ensure that when the good arrives, your heart and mind have the space to hold it without harm. I foresee what you cannot. I store blessings for their appointed time, so that they may blossom complete. Thus, when I plant a small idea, do this, call, forgive, it is an invitation into creation with me. Your small steps are your part in a greater solution, and I rejoice when you join. The motivation you need is not a flawless beginning, but a willing heart, so that I may shape the material you bring. Do not fear offering me the fragile pieces of your life. My hands know how to mend. However torn you feel, I see otherwise a structure that can be restored, a person who can be renewed, a soul that can rise more radiant than before. When you bring everything to me, even the worst, the most shameful, I do not cast it aside. I embrace it, cleanse it with love, and begin my work of restoration. The process is not always gentle. Sometimes it stings, for uncovering old wounds may draw fresh blood before they heal. Yet trust that this pain is healing pain. Through it, you are restructured, strengthened, deepened, made able to shelter others by the very trials you endured. This is how I turn sorrow into mosaic, every shard, with worth every scar, a witness of grace that has shaped you. I want you to know that every cry, no matter how frail or stifled, is heard. Do not force yourself to craft beautiful words to deserve grace. Your faith is not measured by eloquence, but by sincerity rising from the depths. At times you may not even know how to speak. You only feel a silent urge, an unnamed longing. Allow me to turn these echoes into words, and do not fear repetition, for repetition does not weary me, but clarifies intent like a hand pressing again and again until the door opens. Each time you whisper, "I need," I respond by placing people, opportunities, solutions in your path, not according to your order, but in a rhythm that brings life. And when you look back, you will see a thread, small beginnings resonating together, flowing into a stream unstoppable. An unexpected encounter, advice over coffee, rest at the right time. Forgiveness received, all placed side by side, open a door you once believed closed. Thus I invite you to cease striving to understand everything at once. Instead, face the next step before you do the work needed today. Call the one who needs to hear today. Forgive the one who awaits it today. As you are faithful with the present step, I will guide you to the next faithfulness, building into a complete journey. My beloved, I do not demand that you walk without fear. I only ask that fear not decide for you. Let your faith be nourished by small actions, a word, a gesture, a humble choice. Remember that motivation is the language of faith. When you step forward in trust, you declare, I believe, more clearly than by any words. And I, in infinite mercy, will answer by enlarging your steps, showing you that you are never alone. The one walking with you is no vague shadow. It is I, guiding each step, fitting each fragment, turning your broken story into a new song, stronger, more beautiful. A song that when you sing, heaven and earth will resound in thanksgiving. My child, I know how weary your steps have been, not only in body but in heart, in breath, in the days you have carried too much without release. Memories return unbidden like unwelcome guests, sitting in corners of your mind, whispering old judgments, convincing you to listen. I see the moments you are awakened at night by an old melody, a scent from the past, a photograph glimpsed by chance, and suddenly you are back in rooms where pain still stains the walls. I understand. I do not demand that you cast off this humanity as though it were a stone to discard. Instead, I sit beside you, take your hand, and share the weight as a friend who does not rush you but remains, bringing comfort by presence. In that space, I weave into your being a quiet strength, not loud, not demanding proof, but softly steadying your veins, your breath, your thoughts. You are permitted to rest. Rest is not failure. It is the wisdom of a soul that knows renewal is needed. Rest is not escape, but restoration, so that when you walk again, you walk with fullness. I want you to remember that. My love is not a reward for endless striving. It is the fertile ground from which all goodness grows. No one earns it with sweat. It is ever present to sustain you. Allow yourself to lie down, let your breath slow, let your heart return to steady rhythm. Do not see recovery as defeat, but as resurrection I cultivate in you. I call healing into every cell of your body, into places weariness has silenced. Each cell you thought could no longer stir, I whisper life to remind it of its task, to regenerate, to balance, to open to new strength. I do not promise this will be without discomfort, for healing sometimes requires clearing blockages, making symptoms flare before they recede, but I promise that each reaction is movement toward wholeness. At times you may feel a sting, a moment of unease, a flash of light, but these are not signs of failure. They are signs that tissue is alive, blood is flowing, and life is returning. In the mind where storms once raged, I call for balance. The tangled thoughts are not your final essence. They are but passing clouds in the sky. I want you to learn the art of watching without being carried away, to recognize thoughts as drifting clouds, to exhale and let them move on. I will teach you breaths that soften the nervous system, slow, deep inhalation, a gentle pause, and a long exhale, so that the nervous system knows it is safe. When safety settles in, the body begins to release healing hormones instead of alarm signals. The mind becomes clear instead of chaotic. I lay this serenity upon your heartbeat like a lullaby, so each pulse beats more gently, no longer strung tight like a bow. I speak peace into the corners you avoid, into the thoughts that brace for attack, into the emotions conditioned by avoidance. I pour harmony upon you not as a command but as a gracious invitation. Let this peace fall into your breath, into the stillness between breaths, into the silence within your heart. As it settles, it lays down a foundation, deeper sleep, wiser decisions, gentler dialogue with yourself. You will notice fewer reactions and more responses, less being swept by emotional waves, more choosing the safe shore. I desire clarity to dwell in your thoughts, so you no longer think in trembling old patterns but in straighter pathways. Not to make you a machine of thought, but to help you discern between the scream of anxiety and the whisper of wisdom. When your mind is clear, you can choose actions of benefit, choose without being tossed by fear. I also place gentleness in the words you speak to yourself. Cease the harsh criticism. Replace it with encouragement, like that of a father to his child. Try speaking with tenderness, for fierce self-reproach weakens the power of healing. I want your words to embrace you, not become whip and blade. Let me bring you stillness like dawn upon the water, not empty silence, but a silence that holds, that has depth. When water is still, every reflection becomes clear. When your heart is still, you and I together see reality without distortion. The steadfastness I place in you is like mountains that endure storm after storm, not untouched by rain, but rooted deeply unmoved. Let this stability become your ground, so that whenever fierce winds rise, you remain centered, knowing I am there, stooping beside you, not leaving you in the tempest. Let this peace become your biological rhythm. It flows into your days like a pulse you learn to follow. Let it teach your time to pass in grace, not as hollow emptiness, but as alignment where each moment is lived with gratitude and responsibility. In that state, you work not to prove yourself, but with joy in partnership with me. You love not out of fear of loss, but because you already know you are loved. Each action, however small, carries purpose and is steeped in blessing. My child, I invite you to practice simple things. Give each day a moment of unconditional rest, a minute of silence to breathe. Eat a meal that honors your body as one would nourish a temple. Go to sleep early as repayment to your flesh. Speak tender words to yourself each morning, and allow yourself to receive support from others without feeling indebted. These gestures are small, but when done with perseverance, they reshape your life profoundly. I will use them to guide you step by step into a new dimension, where the body is a faithful companion, the mind a discerning counselor, and the heart a reservoir of grace. When you embrace rest as part of your journey, you will no longer run from yourself. You will learn to be fully present. And in presence I will weave strength into you, not blind endurance, but a strength that suffers with compassion, that stands through trial yet remains gracious. Let today be the day you drink deeply from the peace I offer, so each wearied fragment finds rest, each cell sings again of life, each memory ceases to define you and becomes instead a chapter kept with gratitude. You are permitted to rest, you are permitted to be healed, you are permitted to return whole, and I walk with you in every breath. Beloved one, hear me in a voice both gentle and firm. The dreams you buried in barren ground were never forgotten. I preserved their seeds in the dark, safe from despair and from the greedy hand of time. Not every drought is an ending. Often it is a test to sift the noisy from the patient. I have watched every night you labored unseen. I recorded each moment you chose honesty without supervision. I counted every drop of sweat, every silent sacrifice you thought meaningless. None of these offerings fall into the void. Instead, I keep them, I weigh them, and when the season ripens, I will return them in honor of the dignity and integrity you guarded. Do not be deceived by the glitter of shortcuts. The world will seduce with speed, with alluring fame, with promises of success bought at the cost of your soul. You may see others prosper along easy paths, but do not compare. The price is often the fading of their very essence. I do not grant you a glory built upon your own ruin, nor a station that steals your compassion and humanity. Instead, I open to you a way where prosperity is rooted, deep joy that does not kill humility, influence that does not inflate ego, prominence that does not erode the dignity of service. I want your life to be like a garden with roots sunk deep, immune to the winds of worldly glitter. I honor the integrity you have chosen. That integrity is a magnet for grace, not in superstition, but in the natural law of life. What is good endures and draws other good. Uprightness creates a safe home for blessing. When you live honestly in the smallest matters, returning what was lost, keeping promises, working when no one is watching, you are sowing invisible seeds that will bloom into unforeseen gifts. Keep walking that path. When sudden glories appear around you, remember fleeting shortcuts are never worth your soul. What I give is a success that will not tear you apart nor rob you of your gentleness. As you change, I invite you to become someone who surprises even yourself, not because you become strange, but because you return to your truest essence. You will find yourself strong yet tender, speaking with gentleness yet carrying the authority of conviction, acting with power clothed in wisdom, knowing when to speak and when to guard the sacredness of no. This is an art saying no, not to close love, but to protect its garden from trampling. I teach you holy boundaries, not cold walls, but safe spaces where love and virtue can grow. There will be days you feel unsettled by the new strength within. Do not fear. Change requires time to ripen. Gradually you will reflect, my image strong yet merciful, firm yet not harsh. From you will flow words weighted with truth yet void of blade. Your actions will reveal courage yet not lose kindness. As you embody this way, others will not need to hear my teachings from without. They will see me in how you live. This is my aim, that you become a reflection of grace, not merely a hearer of instruction. I also place within you the ability to choose relationships that mirror my love, not shallow or false, but enduring, sincere, and kind. Such bonds are not free gifts. They are formed over time, built on loyalty and fairness. I will arrange for kindred souls to cross your path, those who comfort when you are weak, those who question when you stray, those who join you in creation. They come not to oppose you, but to walk with you in sacred companionship. In these bonds you will learn to give and receive, to hold healthy distance, so you are not destroyed by possession or bent by tyranny. I desire to teach you the holy skill of boundaries, not a frozen shield, but a gentle fence that guards the garden. When you set boundaries, you protect the endurance of love. Saying no at the right moment is an act of preserving dignity, not allowing others to exploit you, not reducing yourself to a tool. Then you will have resources to give. See boundaries as rows of trees planted along a path, guiding flow while protecting what grows within. I will show you how to plant, prune, and tend these hedges so they stand strong yet remain graceful. I also soften your heart, not to weaken resolve, but by grace that makes forgiveness and empathy easier. You will feel your heart expand, less judging, more accompanying. Softness does not make you exploitable. Instead, it gives you discernment to see truth in others, to heal rather than to condemn. This softness is deep strength, for it cannot be easily shattered. It makes you wide enough to hold your own faults and those of others, yet sharp enough to know when boundaries must be set. As I tend your relationships, I also labor to heal the wounded places. The reconciliation I bring begins with two things: truth and repentance. I will place in you the capacity to face truth, not evade, not paint over, and the courage to ask forgiveness when you err. Reconciliation is not a drama I stage with force from outside. It is a subtle process where I open hearts one by one, thaw the ice, and let sincerity be seen. I soften hardened hearts. I assure the wounded they can step forward without further pain. You will be astonished at who you become, not unfamiliar but more essential, more natural. You will return to the image I formed in you from the beginning, one who walks balanced in strength and love, humble yet not timid, resilient yet never cruel. I shape you through trials and through grace. Each time you keep integrity, I lay another shield upon you. Each time you refuse the easy way, I place another stone into the firm foundation of your life. Let me remind you of the value of patience in this transformation. Growth requires time, as a tall tree cannot grow in a night, so your story is built by daily faithfulness. Nurture the small habits, keeping promises to yourself, practicing gratitude, giving time to prayer and reflection, learning to say no to what drains the soul. These habits are bricks of the house you will inhabit. I will be there, upholding, guiding, and sometimes correcting when you falter, but most of all, I wait to see you continue. You will see that everything I give has one purpose, that you live whole, not consumed by trends or fears. I want you to acknowledge, cherish, and grow the true self, one who loves without losing, who is strong without cruelty, who has influence without arrogance. When you reach this, you will become a blessing to others, not for fame, but because you are appointed as a vessel of grace. You will work, love, teach, and heal as one who has been healed. I promise I will keep arranging right relationships, teaching you boundaries, softening your heart to love, and granting you serenity to live fully. Trust and walk on in truth. I walk with you each step, guarding and causing goodness to take root in your life. Hear me once more slowly, as though listening to your own heartbeat at night. Miracles seldom come as thunderous bursts. Most wear the form of subtle motion, beginning as a whisper in your soul, continued by a humble step. Do not wait for spectacle to believe I am at work. Often I place power into your hands, but I need a yes from your lips to release the flow. A small assent, a fragile yet sincere vow, is enough to shift a barren slope, enough to turn a thin stream into a river that nourishes fields thought dead. Each time you answer in faith, even with trembling steps, new paths unfold ahead. Fragments of answers reveal themselves like leaves upon the ground, and provision begins to appear, not by accident, but through the union of your heart and my hand. Learn this rhythm as a melody, first listening in silence, then placing trust with an action, then receiving with gratitude, and again back to listening, a simple cycle where power forever moves. Do not complicate it. Miracles do not require noise, only a heart willing to cooperate. Do not measure your worth by applause. I see each brick you lay, even those hidden in the shadows. The labors unseen, the nights you work by lamp while others sleep. The choices for honesty no one checks. The persistence kept in silence. These, to me, are more precious than flattery. I breathe life into your efforts, and it is my breath that makes them sprout. I do not let your seeds fall to nothing. When you persevere in good within obscurity, I am recording it. I am storing blessing as a farmer saves summer seeds for the coming rains. Therefore, do not give up when you see no fruit. Yet I am working quietly to transform your small offerings into great harvests. I will show you how to create without burning out, how to strategize without destroying. When you open your heart to listen, I open your eyes to see effective ways you will learn to use time like a skilled craftsman, to treat your strength as precious capital, and to reserve the rest for what truly matters. Instead of being trapped in the endless spiral of overtime, you will discover the art of choosing, knowing when to stop, when to continue, and when to invest. These methods do not arrive as rigid commands, but as gentle awakenings, through fresh awareness, subtle suggestions placed in your mind, and opportunities that appear at just the right time. I want your work to be guided by wisdom and long-term purpose, not by the hunger for recognition or the drive to succeed at all costs. Therefore, be ready to change old habits, cut away what drains your energy, and move toward a way of living that frees time for what is most important: love, family, and sincere service. The grace I grant your life's work will not resemble a flash of lightning, dazzling and then gone, but a steady wind strong enough to keep your vessel moving forward. When you see progress unfolding step by step, do not mistake it for slowness. This is how I build firmly. A secure life does not require constant peaks of brilliance. It needs steady currents to sustain balance for the long journey. Guard your heart against envy of others. When you compare, your vision shrinks until you see only a narrow frame instead of the vast map I have laid out. Envy dries up creative energy, turning you into one who gathers scarcity instead of sowing abundance. Learn instead to grant yourself and others the grace of compassion. Generosity enlarges the space of your life. When you give freely, without holding back, I open doors you never imagined. Let your words stand on the foundation of integrity. Integrity is the lasting bond that holds all good influence together. When you speak truth, act truthfully, and keep your promises as a daily practice, your influence will not be like a bubble that bursts, but like a house with a foundation. Practicing honesty in small matters prepares you to withstand greater weight when large matters arrive. Be cautious of temptations that appear impressive, but are hollow. Shortcuts may bring temporary gain, but will gradually consume you. Instead, I affirm that I will build with you something lasting, a life's work upon which future generations can stand. Nurture this character with every action, every decision, and even with your attitude when no one is watching. I am giving you a new language, a way to speak to your days, as a gardener speaks to seeds, not merely sowing and forgetting, but placing trust, watering, waiting, and hoping patiently. Use these words, humble yet steadfast expectations, to invite blessing. Say to your day, "Today I will sow, I will tend, I will wait." This is not superstition. It is faith embodied in action. When you speak in this way, your mind is trained to recognize opportunities, to notice each shade in the wider canvas, and to endure patiently when the work has not yet borne fruit. Such patience becomes the root of endurance, and endurance is what I use to clothe miracles in the garment of lasting achievement. See small steps as true victories. A phone call made, an apology spoken, a small task completed. Each one is a stone laid on the path. Do not despise actions that seem unimpressive. When they connect, they form the road leading directly to the greater gift I intend for you. Sometimes I open doors by giving you a small key. You may think it useless, but it will fit the lock of destiny in the future. Therefore, do not dismiss small opportunities. Welcome them and carry them out with gratitude. I also teach you the lesson of rhythm, knowing when to burst forth in creativity and when to keep steady pace. There is a time for boldness and a time for watchfulness. Both are necessary. Sustainable creativity does not mean plunging into every new idea. It is the ability to discern, to cultivate, and to nourish what is worth living. I will open your eyes to see the paths that allow you to use little strength yet reap much, paths that free your time to care for what is most precious. When you learn this, you will no longer be swept away by every trend, but will walk the path I guide you on. Let your heart stay open, and let your hands be generous. When you give, not because of obligation, but because you have already received grace, you become a channel for my outpouring. Generosity does not impoverish you. It enriches your soul, and in that way I multiply for you. Generosity is a language I use to answer hearts that know how to give. I delight in open hands, for they allow me to work through you in the deepest ways. Keep your prayers sincere and simple. Do not try to decorate them with fine words when your heart is absent. I hear truth more than eloquence. Tell me what you will do today, what you need, and which step you are ready to take. I will respond by guiding you step by step, by granting light at the crucial crossroads, and by placing beside you the right people, opportunities, and graces at the right moment. Miracles begin when you agree to collaborate with me. I prepare the resources, you respond with action. Continue the cycle of listening, trusting, acting, receiving, giving thanks. Within this repetition, your life will shift from barren soil to green pastures, from fragile hope to a radiant harvest. You do not walk alone. I walk with you, steadying each step, awaiting the next yes from your lips. My child, before the light of dawn pours through the window, I want you to open your mouth and bless the morning as a gardener waters the soil before sowing. Take a few seconds to speak blessing over the stillness, so that the sunrise wears the gentle robe I have prepared for you. Bless your thoughts before the meetings and the decisions not yet formed, so that memory is not ruled by anxiety but guided by wisdom. Whisper softly, Lord, lay your hand upon my thoughts, that I may see others with clarity of vision. Speak good things over the house you are about to cross, the threshold of not just walls and roof, but a cradle of peace. May its rooms soak in grace. May the table overflow with gratitude. May the workspace pulse with faithful energy. Then speak kindness over those who trouble you, not because they deserve gentle words, but because your heart deserves serenity. A blessing can diffuse conflict, while accusation only fuels fire. When anxiety tries to invade the future with a storm of inner monologue, calmly cut across it with thanksgiving, like a driver pressing the brake at the right moment. I give thanks for the breath in my lungs, for the body that still moves, for the chance to keep learning how to love. Gratitude does not erase bruises, but it reminds the soul of the true map amid shifting ground. Thanksgiving does not deceive the heart, it goes ahead like a lantern, showing you the way through the dark. Practice this, and you will see your inner climate shift. The sky of your heart will no longer drip with doubt. The winds inside will soften, and rigid controls will give way to gentleness. Let my peace fall without asking permission, like strange rain on a barren desert. It falls, and one day the desert blooms. Dormant seeds awaken. The fragrance of earth rises and cracks become streams, nourishing new life. I have marked on my sacred calendar appointments no authority can cancel. They are written with the lasting ink of covenant, not the fading chalk of chance. I arrange the rhythm of opportunity according to your maturity, so that when doors open you are not suffocated by your own desires. Some blessings must wait until their weight will not break you. I prefer you to arrive on time with steady posture rather than too early and lose your way. Therefore, do not fix your eyes on other steps as if their clocks measure your destiny. Your story is woven in a design only you carry, its threads, its dyes, its patterns uniquely yours. The gifts I place in your hands are not small. They fit your palms, match your reach, and are defined by the very purpose I cherish for you. Your future does not hang by a fragile thread. It is held in the embrace of unfailing love, where storms serve only as lessons that teach you how to anchor more securely. I want you to practice speaking to your days as a planter speaks to seeds, with hope and patience. The morning does not demand that you craft grand strategies. First, pronounce blessings so that the rhythm of grace sets the tone for the whole day. Calm your mind. Today I choose kindness. I choose response over reaction. I choose respect over rejection. Do not underestimate these whispers. Like a musician tuning strings before a performance, these early words set your soul in the right key, so that when the music begins, it flows in harmony instead of discord. When you meet a face that tightens your heart, send silently a blessing. May peace come to this one. They may not change at once, but the blessing will guard your heart from breaking. It draws a gentle boundary between you and bitterness, reminding you that you are a sower of peace, not a planter of thorns. Thus, blessings melt the ice within you, before flowing outward like sunlight, warming the glass before it heats the room. Do you know Thanksgiving is the key that changes the air of a closed room? It does not erase cracked walls, but it lets you notice the open window. When worry sits down to write a bleak script for the hours ahead, interrupt with gratitude, like a host reclaiming the microphone. Thank you that I still have paths to walk, people to love, and work to do. In this way, the tangled monologue is cut off, and your spirit remembers that reality stands beside uncertainty. You will begin to see everything not as obstacles, but as pieces waiting to fall into place. Gratitude does not sweeten temporarily like sugar. It nourishes like grain. When practiced, it builds resilience against the poison of comparison and lack. Each time you give thanks, you draw your soul back into presence. You hear my footsteps close by. You recognize small signs, the door no longer jammed, as yesterday the call answered, the apology received. I have scheduled right person, right time encounters, connections that would be lost if mistimed, even by a breath. But do not worry about precision. When you walk in the light, your steps will naturally fall in rhythm. I orchestrate like a conductor, the drum beat, the violin's bow, the thin flute, the warm horn. Each musician enters at the right bar. The symphony rises, and you keep your eyes on the notes before you and play your part firmly. I will not leave you exposed in the flashing storm of fame to lose your mind. I want you planted in fertile ground where the speed of blessing matches the depth of your roots. Some blessings are heavy, like vessels of gold. If placed in weak hands, wrists break. If given to one untrained in balance, they collapse. So I wait for you to grow strong through healthy habits, through gentle discipline, through learning to say enough, then I entrust them. To arrive later with endurance is better than arriving early and losing all. I want you to reach the finish in peace, not to let victory devour your soul. Do not compare your stride to the runner in the next lane. Each has their marked track and their own wind. When you lift your eyes to others, you stumble on your own path. But when you keep your gaze forward, you see the small markers. I set a confirmation at the right time, a returned email, a door opening after months of silence. Grow intimate with the process. Trust that what is unseen today does not mean it will never be. The process has its rhythm, like a tree sprouting leaves in season. You cannot force them green before their time. You will learn that what looks slow in human eyes is timely in mine, and silence does not mean emptiness. It is the field resting, storing water for the rains to come. The gifts I placed in you, whether writing, healing, teaching, business, creating, or caring, are not fragile candles flickering in the wind. They are sheltered under the glass of grace. If you think them small, it is because you are measuring by the scale of publicity, not the scale of purpose. I define greatness by capacity to serve, not by noise. A quiet skill that eases a neighbor's fear may be greater than a performance that dazzles crowds but leaves emptiness behind. Use your gift daily as one offering fresh sheaves of grain, not with show but with faithfulness. You will be surprised when the fields answer. The one who needs you seeks you, the hand that needs yours pulls you, the home that needs repair calls your name. With every step you take forward, provision comes like the lift of wind. You will learn the grammar of grace, listening, trusting, moving, receiving, giving thanks, then listening again. This is the beautiful rhythm where the energy of faith multiplies, not drained away by restlessness. When you meet someone who makes you uncomfortable, remember that blessing is like warm water melting wax. It softens what is hardened in the human heart, and first of all in yours. Do not let your first reaction dictate the whole conversation. Instead, let a whispered prayer come first. Grant me to see them in a gentle light. You cannot control another's heart, but you can choose the climate of your own soul. And if that climate is mild, it has the power to transform as spring dissolves frost. Blessing does not paint over problems. It sets your feet in the right place to resolve them without burning yourself. When you bless, you move from defense into creation. You cease to use thorns and begin to use your hands. And where gentle hands move, the work is completed. I want you to practice exhaling gratitude, inhaling peace, not as a superstitious ritual, but as the discipline of one who lives awake. Each morning, place your hand upon your chest and say, I am here. God is here. That is enough to begin. That little sentence plants you in the present, the place where I am waiting. From there, you write schedules, make your bed, call a friend, finish your tasks, ordinary acts that become liturgy when performed in awareness of presence. You will find your focus growing, the pile of papers thinning, the small conflicts dissolving, because you have not watered them with tension. Peace is like a steady drizzle, not loud or dramatic, but deeply penetrating. A garden seems unchanged in an hour, but utterly transformed after a season. At times, you will feel as though you are moving slowly. Use those hours to deepen roots. Read another page, learn another skill, practice another virtue. Deep roots save the tree in the storm. When the winds of opportunity rise, it is not the beauty of the branches that holds you steady, but the unseen strength beneath. I give priority to what is hidden, for it determines what is seen. Pay attention to how you rest, how you speak to yourself, how you order your priorities. Honor the Sabbath as much as the workday. Treat a family meal as you would an important meeting. Keep a small promise as faithfully as a binding contract. These things that seem minor are the concrete of the foundation. And when miracles come clothed in the ordinary, an email answered, a customer returning a pain, eased an idea sparked while washing dishes, do not despise them for lacking fireworks. Notice, give thanks, and go on. Miracles love to wear plain garments, for plain garments endure the journey. You will learn to cherish the sufficiently wondrous instead of chasing the briefly dazzling. I am leading you along the path of endurance. Their joy does not destroy calm influence, does not inflate ego, and prominence does not eclipse humility. My beloved, I give you authority to bless with your mouth, the morning your thoughts, your dwelling the people you meet. Use this authority as a faithful steward. I am with you in every gentle word, in every grateful gesture, in every step taken slowly but surely. Do not measure the pace of your feet. Attend instead to the rhythm of your heart. Let it beat in the key of peace. The gifts appointed for you will not arrive late. They come on the day you are ready to carry them without being crushed. Your future rests in reliable hands. No storm can wrench it away. So in this very moment, incline your heart toward the light. Speak a blessing upon the day. Take a long breath for calm. Step out with a smile. For I go before you, walk beside you, and follow behind you, that what begins with blessing may end with thanksgiving. My beloved, I am shaping you steadfastly from within like a potter, patiently turning the wheel, adding water, removing clay, pressing the vessel until it can withstand the kiln's fire. For a great mission without inner strength is only straw fire flaring up, then snuffed out in the wind. I did not make you to be a firework that dazzles for a moment. I train you to be a hearth that holds flame through the night. Every small habit is being refined, the way you speak truth, when unnoticed, the way you pause to listen before replying, the way you carry your share instead of grabbing all in impulse. These movements, though small, are the tendons binding soul and labor, enabling you to bear the weight of your calling without fracture. Let me mend your sail, the edges torn by confusion, the seams unraveled by impatience, the fabric thinned by corrosive comparison. I am replacing each patch with stronger cloth, fidelity, patience, humility, and steadfast will. I am also teaching you the language of the wind, to know when it is the sweet breath of spirit lifting your vessel and when it is the whirlwind of rumor pulling you astray. To loosen the sail in welcome, to draw it tight through storm. I want your hands to know the ropes, your eyes the horizon, your heart the rhythm of silence, so that among countless opinions you do not cast your ship adrift on fleeting praise, nor sink under the blade of criticism. You will learn the art of standing upright. Compliments will not sway you, reproach will not break you, for your identity is rooted in me, not in today's scoreboard. And once the roots run deep, the winds of rumor are but whispers in the leaves, not storms uprooting the tree. I whispered promises over you long before you could name your own dreams. Do not dismiss those whispers as imagination. They are not fantasies for temporary comfort. They are markers planted on the long road foundations buried under unturned soil. What I have spoken I watch over, the word leaving. My mouth I guard, I nourish, I bring to completion. But when I promise, I also prepare. When I speak, I also set the table. A promise falling into unready hands becomes a burden. So I arrange terrain and lantern companions and pauses, systems of support and disciplines of gentleness. The path is cleared, the time measured, the joints fastened, the resources gathered, the idea nurtured. You think your life is scattered, but I am fitting the pieces together like a craftsman assembling a model. A part lies still for years, only to meet perfectly with another yet to come. Do not panic when the surface seems quiet. That is when I am turning the depths where eyes cannot reach. And when the frame is complete, I snap my fingers for the music to begin. Until now, you have only heard the pulling of strings, the tapping of sound checks. Now the song shall rise, the rhythm will quicken, the tempo will swell, the message will grow. Do not be surprised when doors open at once, when calls flood in, when demands pile high. This is not chaos, but the harvest season come ripe. You are not thrust into a play unrehearsed. I have trained your hands in hidden days, so that today you can meet the pace without faltering, so that you can hold firmly what I place in your palms. Remember how I taught you to sail first, to read the sky, seeing the streak of clouds that herald fair winds, the dark patches that warn of rain. Next, to feel with your skin the brush of breeze upon your cheek, telling you to loosen or tie. Only last, to master the intricate techniques. Your inner life is the same. You learn discernment before strategy, obedience before governance, truthfulness before persuasion. For when the heart is aligned, the hand is skillful. When the root is firm, the branch grows green. You will come to recognize the ways the Spirit moves, sometimes as a gentle current that makes you want to sing, sometimes as a jolt that makes you cast off burdens, sometimes as a fresh stream in the mind, sometimes as a strange stillness, even in a crowd. Learn to check the sail of your soul. Is there a tear from pride, a seam unraveled from fatigue, a corner rotting from long resentment? Each time you find one, do not cast blame. Bring it to me. I will mend, and I will also teach you to stitch gentle discipline, steady rest, daily prayer, nightly gratitude. These simple tools are the needle and thread that keep the sail taut without tearing. When the voices around you rise, you will feel the pull of flattery. A few sweet words can shift the rudder by 1 degree, enough to miss the shore entirely after a long course. And there will be days when criticism crashes like waves against your hull, If you let it gnaw, one small hole will sink the vessel. I want you to remember one measure only. What do I think? When you return to my gaze, praise and blame both become information, no longer definition. You will learn to smile at compliments, give thanks, then release them back to the sea, and likewise to nod at correction, sift out the golden grain and discard the grit. True steadiness is not coldness. It is warmth that does not dissolve, softness that does not collapse. And its foundation is roots. Roots sunk into the truth that you are loved before you achieve, chosen before you prove useful, carried before you contribute. From that soil you labor in freedom, needing no display for attention, shrinking not in fear. There are commitments I planted in you from childhood, a fleeting vision, a whiff of incense, a day you helped someone and felt your heart ignite all seeds of vocation. Long they lay as unfinished melodies. Now I bring the orchestra into measure. Listen, the woodwinds keeping time with the strings, the brass answering the flutes. What you thought fragments now join as symphony. You will be drawn from the comfort of silence into the brisk tempo. Do not fear, for your hands have been trained by unseen hours. Speed only exposes training, it does not reveal emptiness. And when you tire, remember I am the conductor. I cue the rests at the right moment, slow the tempo for breath, lift the baton for a solo. You need only play the notes on today's page, the rest I arrange. I am also weaving relationships you will need for the new season, listeners who help you name precisely what you pursue. Challengers who sharpen your ideas, co-laborers who keep the burden from breaking your back. Do not reject help out of pride. A ship for open seas needs a crew. The character I form in you includes both the strength to say please help me and the strength to say thank you, this part I will do myself. That is healthy boundary, open to receive, not surrendered, humble to learn, not robbed of choice. And in every interaction, keep a gentle honesty, speak truth, like bandage, clean close to the wound, yet not tearing flesh. Such integrity draws grace like a magnet, for it creates a safe climate where blessing lingers. You may ask, if you have prepared, why do I still see gaps? Because my preparation is not to lay down a flawless asphalt road, but to give you the skill to read the terrain. I do not remove all stones. I teach you to step wisely. I do not calm all winds. I train you to set the sail. Your strength will not come from a smooth course, but from supple cooperation with circumstance. So when the path is rough, do not blame the road. Check your stride. When the wind shifts, do not curse the sky. Adjust the sail. When the tide runs low, do not despise the sea. Learn to row close to shore. These things make you a trustworthy pilot, one who can guide a vessel through narrow straits without losing precious cargo. Now when the music is playing, the mast is raised, and the horizon is clear, I remind you of this. Do not fling your arms in excitement and drop the treasure. Carry what I entrust with both hands. One hand is skill, the other is character. Lacking either, you slip. Guard your heart from the yeast of pride that inflates. Guard your steps from the weight of fear that presses. Each morning lay your hand upon your tools, pen, keyboard, instruments, ledger, and say, I serve for you, not for noise. Each night lay them down and say, I release to you, not to obsession. That rhythm of holding, yielding will protect you from burnout and from self-exaltation. Do not forget gratitude along the way. Gratitude is the anchor that keeps you from drifting too far when the wind of success pushes strong. Nor forget regular silence. Silence is the shore where you dock to check your hull. In stillness you hear again the pitch of the conductor's voice. In stillness you feel again the seams of the sail. In stillness you notice which ropes need replacing. Then you sail again, steadier, lighter, swift but unhurried. I go before you as a beacon, beside you as a companion, behind you as a guarantor. What I have spoken I do. What I entrust I guard. What I begin I complete. Therefore, though the rhythm of life quickens beyond yesterday, do not fear dropping what I have placed in your hands. For those hands I have trained for this very score. Firm, yet flexible, humble, yet secure, warm, yet precise to bear the weight. to of glory without breaking, to carry blessing intact to its appointed place, to keep the ship on course, the sail full, and your heart at rest in my hands. My child, listen for me in the stillness of your chest. At this very moment I am stitching the seams of a story that has flowed through generations. The worn paths that drained your parents, that bound your grandparents in fear, scarcity, flight, and self-accusation. I am closing that book with a gentle but resolute enough. In you the old spiral ends. In you a new rhythm begins. Courage rises like dawn. Abundance returns to its true meaning as enough to give. Alertness replaces stupor, and rest returns as the breath of the soul. You are the hinge between what has been and what is coming, a hinge designed to bear weight, supple enough to open the door, strong enough to support it. For this I am fortifying you, not to make you rigid, but to enable you to bear the weight of a door swinging wide with grace. I surround you with wise counsel and teach you the art of blessing, even those who once made your heart bleed, but without binding you to the place of your wounds. You will learn to honor history without bowing to its toxins, to forgive while keeping boundaries, to love without forsaking truth. Do not confuse humility with shrinking back. True humility is agreeing with my vision of you, bowing to reality as I have created it. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your presence today is intentional, never accidental. Step into any room without apologizing for your presence. Sit at the table with the gentle conviction that it is I who have sent you there. Speak when I urge you to, and remain silent when wisdom says, wait, but do not disappear. The world does not need your absence. It needs your true presence, rooted, listening, courageous, and kind. You have not been tasked to be the answer for everyone. You are invited to be faithful to the work placed in your hands today as a gardener tends his own plot of land. I do not require you to carry tomorrow's weight with today's strength. Grace keeps its own calendar, each day fresh like bread that cannot be stored. Ask for what you need today, a measure of courage to speak what is true, a portion of peace to keep you from harshness, a light to keep you from being deceived by glitter, a gentle discipline to know when to stop. When you wake, invite me to order your priorities. When you plan, leave room for surprise. When interruptions arise, seek me in them. Many of my gifts lie hidden at unexpected turns. At times I protect you by slowing you down. At times I love you by removing applause, for there are ovations that cannot keep you warm at dusk. Do not call slow defeat. Slow is the rhythm where roots go deep. I close certain noisy doors to open steadfast ones, a timely email, a call that redirects a postponed meeting that keeps you from stumbling. There you discover I am waiting just beyond the bend. I heal not only your own tears, but also the fractures carried through generations. That healing begins at the crossroads of your choice. You stop repeating old reflexes, speak softly instead of shouting, inquire instead of accusing, release the rope that has burned your hands. I know hinges wear under weight, so I reinforce them with new habits, short, honest prayers, sleep that clears the mind's fog, wholesome meals that befriend the body, gentle movement to carry oxygen into numb places, and the writing down of truth so memory is not bent by fear. Boundaries are the hedge that guards the garden of love from being trampled. I teach you to set them with a calm voice. Here is allowed, there is not. You keep your heart without losing tenderness. When recalling the past, you speak like a bandage applied to a wound, clean healing, not tearing the skin. From there you enter meetings, classrooms, meals, and conversations without shrinking into the shadow of old judgments, standing upright at ease, weighty without strain, credible without display. Each morning you may lay your hand upon your tools, keyboard, pen, knife folder, and whisper, I serve for you, not for the noise. Each evening you may release them and murmur, I return them for you, not for obsession. That rhythm of holding, releasing, keeps you from exhaustion and from pride. Gratitude is the anchor that keeps you from drifting too far when fair winds push strong. Silence observed at intervals is the shore where you dock to inspect your vessel, mend its sails, and replace worn ropes. Out there some may say you are too gentle. You smile, for you know your gentleness has a backbone. Your kindness carries fire, your patience holds boundaries, and your forgiveness bears wisdom. To honor roots is not to bow before evil. To be merciful is not to open the door to abuse. To love is not to abandon truth. You stand on this ground to love without losing yourself, to be strong without cruelty. When the unexpected interrupts, do not flare as though destiny has been stolen. Instead ask, where are you in this turn? Perhaps I am in the courier who arrives early in the car that breaks down in a line of text that saves you from a mistake. The milestones I set cannot be erased. They are carved into covenant, not written in chalk. Your part is to step forward one step at a time, not rushing in panic nor standing still, waiting for absolute certainty before you move. Do not measure your stride by another's clock. Each runner has a lane, a wind, a terrain of their own. When your eyes fix on others, your feet stumble on your path. When you look ahead, you see the markers. I placed a timely word of affirmation, a door opening after months of silence. What looks slow in human sight may be right in mine. Quiet is not empty, it is the field storing water for the season of rain. The gift within you is not a candle trembling in the wind. It is sheltered under the glass of grace. If it seems small, it is because you measure it by the ruler of advertising, not by the measure of purpose. I call great according to its capacity to serve, not its volume of noise. A quiet skill that eases a neighbor's fear may be greater than a performance that roars and leaves emptiness behind. Use your gift faithfully each day as a first fruit offering, silent yet full of love. When you meet one who tightens your spirit, send them a silent blessing. Peace be upon this person. They may not change at once, but the blessing guards your heart from shattering. It lays a gentle boundary between you and bitterness, helping you shift from defense to creation, no longer using thorns but hands. Where gentle handswork tasks are completed. If one day you think yourself slow, use that hour to deepen roots. Read another page, learn another skill, cultivate another virtue. Deep roots preserve the tree in storm. When the winds of opportunity rise, it is not fair branches but hidden roots that keep you standing. I favor the unseen part, for it determines what will be seen. At day's end, as you breathe slowly and extinguish the light, you will know you did not vanish. You were present, like fragrance, not noise. You did the work, not played savior. You received the bread for today and left the rest for tomorrow. You let me be Lord and you my steward. And in that breath I lay my hand upon your head and whisper, I am closing old loops and opening new paths within you. Be steadfast, for tomorrow's grace will come like dew, and the story continues to brighten page by page for you, for those who belong to you, and for generations yet unseen, who will know your fingerprint upon the blessing they carry. My child, still your heart to hear me now, for around you stands a guard. No eye can fully perceive a gentle yet unyielding circle, quenching misfired arrows aimed at your heart, extinguishing schemes meant to draw you from the path I set. I silence the whispers that slander your calling. I shut the mouths that speculate doom upon your life. I command the storm to cease, because the light now shining upon you reveals what once hid in darkness. I stand as shield before you, as defender behind, as guardian pacing the flanks, so you are never cornered. Lift your head and walk, not limping as though uncovered. Grace marches with you like a quiet entourage, opening the way through unnoticed mercies. And to those who feel small before the long road, I lean close and whisper, I delight in the humble, for humility gives me room to act. Your littleness is no barrier to power. It is the open gate through which my strength flows unhindered. Where you thought yourself weakest, I plant pillars. Where you thought worthless, I build a platform for mercy to shine. Now fix your eyes upon the tasks that make you tremble. Do not let imagination swell them into mountains. Break them small as a mason splits bricks, laying one upon another to build. Today is enough for today, a call to make a page, to write an apology, to speak a bill, to settle a step to take. Each small advance alters the future. Do not wait for perfection to begin, for so-called perfection is but ambition in disguise, stealing joy, draining strength, turning work into a theater of anxiety. I do not summon you to the stage of flawless. I invite you into the path of excellent, steady without haste, sincere without show, joyful without shallowness. In this spirit, every task becomes worship, every drop of sweat an offering, every moment of focus an act of devotion. Diligence is no longer a whip at your back, but the rhythm of love, the rhythm of one who knows they labor with me to bring good to the world. To hearts that feel dim among the crowd, I remind you the seed remains hidden in soil long before the sprout breaks through. Being buried is not being abandoned. Silence is not futility. In the dark earth, roots reach like fingers toward deep streams. They go where leaves never touch. They drink from hidden veins. They anchor firmly, preparing for storms, yet unseen. So do not resent the quiet season. It is the silent years that form timber strong enough that howling winds rattle leaves, but cannot uproot. I do not display you in the square to convince doubters. I bring you forth in season when fruit is ready for the hungry. Then your going out is not performance, but nourishment. So change your questions, not does anyone see me, but who lives because I lived. Not how many eyes watch, but how many hands find shade beneath my branches. Not do they applaud, but who found courage, because I did not give up. In heaven, the rovers. Measure of influence is not noise, but sustenance. Not fireworks, but shade. Not fleeting praise, but souls quietly nourished. Learn to clear your heart before you work, as a gardener clears the bed, pulling weeds of envy, uprooting roots of resentment, loosening the soil of gratitude. Then so focus 50 minutes of full attention rather than 5 scattered hours. Water with short prayers. Grant me faithfulness in small things. Cover the seed with gentle discipline. Shut the device. When night grows late, walk 15 minutes to refresh the weary mind. Drink water instead of discouragement. Do not fear slow rhythm. Slow sustains long. And whenever perfection tugs you from your task, answer with a smile, I choose soulful excellence over heartless perfection. Remember also, I have placed invisible watchtowers around you. Provocations will be exposed sooner than you think. Distortions will falter on the lips. Snares will reveal their mesh while still in draft. Not because you are clever, but because your prayer is in step with my protection. As you walk, do not bow to stare at your heels. Look forward where I go before as cloud. Look beside where I walk as companion. Look behind where I gather what you drop to return when needed. Your confidence is not arrogance. It is the stance of one who knows they are not alone. The long road will bring discouragement, a cold email, a misaligned plan, a broken bond. When that comes, do not measure your worth by the stumble. Return to short rhythms. Break the large into parts. Write one clear line. Finish one small step. Give thanks for one thing, so your heart stays open. Progress is not a straight path. It is a winding staircase. Some steps seem backward, but truly change your height. Patience is the muscle of hope. Trained daily and little by little, it enables you to carry great weight without breaking. Do not let your eyes be spellbound by stage lights. Let your heart be drawn to places that need nurture. A cup of water for the weary counts more than a speech that excites but leaves emptiness. I ask you, who is lifted today because you chose kindness? Who feels less alone because you listened fully? Who smiles because you sent a timely word? Who rests in peace because you yielded your right to win? These whose are ripe fruit. The rest are leaves. And when you feel like dust in a swirling storm, crawl into the palm of my hand. That hand holds the heavens, surely it has room. Your smallness is your passport for me to do great things in intimate spaces. A habit changed in a room, a voice lowered in a meeting, a call made to reconcile a line written to lift a soul. My power delights in such places, in the kitchen, on the bus, in the office hall, in the drawer where you keep a family photo. I reveal myself not through loud backdrops, but through steady rhythms. That steady flow gathers into a river. When you pass through hidden seasons, remember to nourish your soul with 3 simple portions. Gratitude, petition, surrender. Gratitude, to remember you never stand empty-handed. Petition, so the heart does not secretly boast, I can manage alone. Surrender, so sleep is not stolen. Place your hand upon your chest, whisper, I am here. You are here. That is enough to begin. Then begin. Finish one task, wash the cup, fold the shirt, embrace the loved one, answer the one who waits, close the work, drag too long. Such small acts are stitches that mend the torn garment. Slowly you will find yourself stronger than yesterday without knowing why, because grace sows through the night while you sleep. When I set you before others, it is because the harvest has come, not because I need a show. Then do not alter your habits. Keep watering roots, keep feeding the soil, keep plucking pests from the leaves. Fame, if it comes, consider it morning dew beautiful, but it does not nourish the tree. What nourishes the tree remains the same. Soil, water, light. Soil is gentle discipline, water is mercy, light is truth. Keep these three, and you will stand through storms. At last, do not forget to measure your life by my gaze. I look at who was able to live because of you, not at how many clapped for you. I take note of the meals you cooked with love, the hours you sat listening without interrupting, the times you chose honesty over quick deceit, the days you kept going without anyone cheering you on. That is your treasure in my kingdom, where the measure is not applause, but nourishment. Walk forward in peace. Before you I make a way. Behind you I calm your heart. At your sides grace escorts you. Be steadfast in the small things, and one morning you will realize that the whole garden has changed. Seasons, branches heavy with shade, fruit bending with ripeness, passers-by pausing to rest under your coolness, their hearts lighter, their hearses, steps steadier simply because you did not give up. You let work become worship, and you allowed silent years to grow a great tree that knows how to bow. My child, I am teaching your heart a lesson not by books but by every breath, the practice of joy. Joy is not blind naivete before reality. It is the brave act in the dark, the choice to bloom even when the soil is cracked, the step onto the dance floor, though the music has not yet begun. It chooses to sing and rejoice, not because circumstances suddenly soften, but because grace already surrounds you like the air. Find one reason to laugh again. It need not be grand. Sometimes it is simply sunlight through a crack, a steaming cup of tea, or leaves whispering in the evening breeze. Sing even if your voice still trembles, even if your chest feels tight. In that very moment, the song becomes a true weapon. Dance in the kitchen among the unwashed dishes, for your stamping feet proclaim darkness cannot claim the whole house. Write down words of gratitude as embers in your chest, so each line becomes a spark against the cold. These gestures, though small, are weapons. They push back the night. They retrain your nervous system to remember hope is here. They school your mind to expect goodness instead of rehearsing tragedy. Expectation is not arrogance. It is walking alongside the promise I planted. When fear demands evidence, point it to the journaled pages of your journey. The time I carried you through a diagnosis that made even doctors sigh, the moment provision arrived at the last hour when your purse was nearly empty. The words placed on your lips to say what needed to be said when you did not know you could, the day a friend called out of the blue exactly when you planned to give up. These were not accidents. They are coordinates etched on the map of my faithfulness. Trace each bright mark with your memory, like raising an altar within a place where you kneel to worship. And look, the figure of present fear begins to shrink, retreating like a shadow at noon when the sun rises high. Learn the habit of not letting joy slip away like a stray breeze, but anchoring it with concrete acts. When the heart is heavy, write 10 things you are thankful for. When the mind is weary, set a familiar song. When the body is drained, let it move. When the lips are dry, speak a short praise. These small rhythms are how I teach you to build a fortress against unreasoned sorrow. Do not fear being called foolish for smiling in trial. The wise of this world forget that true wisdom is measured by the ability to see beyond the storm. The joy you choose today not only lifts you, but also lifts the one beside you, for joy spreads faster than complaint. Remember, joy is not denial. You need not pretend the storm does not exist. You can admit the rain falls while still singing thanks for the ground being watered. You can acknowledge your heart aches, yet still find reason to smile, because I still reign, because love still remains, because light is never extinguished. Practicing joy is not painting over grief with false color. It is setting a fire to cross the night. As a soldier guards flame in the trench, you guard joy, as you would an oil lamp, so that the whole army of hope is not snuffed out. When memory reminds you of times I rescued you, write them down as testimony against worry. As Abraham built an altar whenever he encountered me, so too you should raise altars in your heart with milestones of faithfulness. Here you delivered me. Here you opened the door. Here you sent someone. Each remembrance strengthens your faith, and present anxiety becomes dust. For you do not live in emptiness, you live on a map marked by my hand. So open your mouth to sing before there is reason, clap before the miracle appears, dance in the kitchen before the bills are paid, write words of thanks while tears are still wet. These very actions declare grace is sufficient for me, and your faithfulness endures. Do not underestimate the power of joy. It is the weapon heaven gives to drive back the night. As you practice it, fear shrinks and your heart expands again to embrace hope. My beloved, I am gently resetting the clock within you, so it beats to the rhythm of life, not to the shouts of haste. You no longer battle the hours as if they despise you. You are not driven by the invisible whip called too late. You walk with the shepherd who knows every path, every bend, who remembers the scent of seasons yet to come. I do not drag you backward to patch the past. I redeem time by causing the present to bloom doubly. Where you thought wasteland, I soften the soil. Where you felt you had missed, I plant miracle seeds. Where you once rushed past essentials, I rest my hand on your shoulder to slow you down, a holy slowing, not laziness, just enough for you to hear your own breath and my whisper. At times I quicken your pace like wind filling sails, helping you catch up to lost seasons. At times I ease your steps like waves brushing shore, letting you savor what matters more than achievement. The companion, the simple beauty, the returning laughter. You can live in a rhythm where love is possible, kindness is habit, truth is compass, and hope is breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. You are allowed to be weak, to rest, to be human in the arms of the eternal. Now I seal upon you a blessing that will not fade. I spread clarity over your mind like dew upon grass, so your thoughts shine with discernment of what is needed, what is fitting, what can be let go. I pour courage into your heart so it beats calmly amidst noise, so it dares to say yes when obedience is required, and no when holiness must be guarded. I grant strength to your body, endurance, to finish flexibility, to bend toward goodness, rest, to be renewed. I cover your home with peace not made by man, peace that sits in the living room chair, peace that warms the kitchen, peace that climbs onto your bed like a soft blanket. I kindle authenticity in relationships, words without pretense, eyes without deceit, gestures without calculation. I rain favor upon your work so it does not become a harsh master, but a faithful companion yielding fruit instead of chains. I guide your steps, when to turn right, when to turn left, when to stop, when to hasten, so that every small step carries the weight of meaning. I place your night in safe sleep, muscles loosen, mind ceases its spinning heartbeat steadily, and dreams quietly mend the worn places. I tint your morning with purpose. You wake not to run aimlessly, but to partner with the good already waiting. I also bless your history with meaning, events once senseless now aligning into story. I place my presence in your present. You are truly here, not projecting, not fleeing. I set hope into your future, a hope with bones and flesh and feet upon reality, not cotton candy air. I return to you the ease of laughter, a smile not stiff upon the lips. And I also gift tender tears, tears that heal instead of erode. I give you discerning eyes to avoid false opportunities, glittering yet hollow, and boldness to embrace true ones, quiet yet full of life. I fill you with active patience, able to wait in readiness, with gentle perseverance, never trampling others to reach the goal, with tender strength, soft yet unbroken, with humble confidence, upright without pride. I train your ears to hear my whisper beneath the noise, and your eyes to see my fingerprints in what looks like coincidence. You do not stand on the brink of ruin, you stand before an open door. You do not guard an ending, you await the dawn. And dawn is always faithful. It comes whether you are wakeful or asleep. Tonight you will lie beneath a sky that has heard every word you whispered in the arms of a love that never slumbers. While you rest, I turn the gears. While you dream, I join the fragments. While you let go, I set the axis again. You will greet the new day with proof that my grace has labored through the night on your behalf. Do not overlook this very moment. It is not a pale blur. It is the hinge that turns the milestone upon which coming days lean. Believe as one in harmony with truth, not as one forcing life to obey by belief. Your faith does not demand what is not. It opens your ears to what already resounds, your eyes to what is growing, your hands to what is forming. In my reality, there is always room for miracles, not tricks, but springs rising from dry ground. Always new mercies like skies, never repeating a dawn. Always you whole and blossoming, stepping into the life we build together hand in hand, step by step, so that joy visits unceasingly, and peace chooses you as its dwelling. Therefore let go gently of the old thoughts that drained you, like a towel wrung dry, the obsession of not enough, the fear of too late, the regret of should have. Lay them on the table, leave them, and let me clear them away. In exchange, rest your head on my pillow of faithfulness, a pillow that has carried millions of souls through long nights, so your heart may learn a new rhythm, calm as morning lake, steady as ancient mountain, blessed as a harvest field. Inhale the assurance that you are loved before any achievement. Exhale the notion that you must earn worthiness that has never been my demand. Let your heart absorb this new lesson to live enough, not too much, not too little. To do right, not forced, not careless. To love deep, not controlling, not abandoning. And when your eyelids close, hear my voice echo softly in the sanctuary of your soul. I am here. I stand with you, not against you. I work for your good, sometimes through what you desire, sometimes through what you did not know you needed. I weave better things than you can ask or imagine. I arrange encounters, mend the net before the boat departs, roll stones away from your path, and place signs at your turnings. Sleep, my child, for the miracle called tomorrow is already on its way, and today just past has been wrapped fully in grace. When you wake, there will be signs, a lighter face, words arriving in time, a call that opens the way, a thought of peace descending like a flock returning home. I also long to teach you some very human practices to live very holy days. Before opening your phone, open your heart in thanks for breath, for beating pulse, for shelter, for those you love, for your very existence. Before heading out, whisper, place your priorities into my calendar. When scheduling, leave white space as a harbor for the unexpected. So many gifts. I wrap in interruptions, a delayed car, sparing collision, a postponed meeting, allowing you to meet one who truly matters. Midday pause, 1 minute to breathe consciously, to remind your nervous system it is safe to bathe your mind in calm, to let your heart remember it is not a soulless pump. At night, write 3 things you are grateful for, so memory chooses bright points as headlines instead of dark points. That is how you master time without being enslaved to it. That is how you let me redeem weary hours and turn them into nourishment. Where you see wasted seasons, I will give steady acceleration, not rushed, not skipping steps, so you marvel at the progress. Where you once hurried and dropped, what mattered I place upon you. Gentle limits to pause, to rest, to say this is enough. My quickening does not exhaust you. My slowing does not leave you behind. Both bring you into rhythm where love has space to breathe. There you will see clearly, not everything fast is good, not everything slow is bad. Right timing is wisdom. And right timing is me. I conduct the orchestra of time with a baton that never shakes. If tonight old memories demand to be king, tell them to sit low. I remember you, but I do not worship you. Memory is guest, not master. Then invite presence to the first seat. Now speak. The present will say, there is warmth, there is a blanket, there is breath, there are birds, there is a promise still intact. Place your hand upon your chest and remind yourself, I am loved. Your heart will answer with a steadier beat. Your spirit will quiet its spinning. Your muscles will loosen like strings tuned rightly. And even as tears still fall, you will know they are cleansing tears, not the bitter kind, but the kind that taste of renewal. Tomorrow morning when you open your eyes, you will notice that a few small things have shifted. Some task will line up with less disorder. An email awaiting your reply will open a door. Someone once distant will suddenly send a message. A burden once heavy will reveal its way forward. Do not dismiss this as mere good luck. Call it by its true name. This is proof that my grace has been at work. Respond with 2 actions: give thanks, and then do your part. With every small step you take, I add a greater stride. With every right decision, I send the wind behind you. With every wise no, I establish new boundaries. And throughout the day, if fear comes demanding its payment, present it with your record of faithfulness: the day you were carried through bad news, the moment provision came on time, the words placed upon your lips, the call that rescued a fading soul. Trace these points as one would the beads of a rosary of memory, until your heart itself becomes an altar upon it. Burns the lamp God has done beside it, rests the jar God is doing, and before it lies the cloth God will do. Fear cannot long remain in a place of worship. It shrinks, then retreats to the door, then dissolves into the wind. My child, the present is where I meet you. The future is where I lead you. The past is where I have clothed all things with meaning. You rest in my hands as a child sleeps soundly upon a father's chest. I do not miss a beat of your life, neither do I rush. Every beautiful thing requires time, and I am Lord of time. Be still, believe, and rest. I am here, and will remain here when you close your eyes. Tomorrow walk forward with light feet, a warm heart, a clear mind, and a calm soul. For now sleep, my beloved. The promise is already on its way. Dawn is prepared. And in the night, as in every night, I am with you, I am for you, and I am working more good for you than you have ever dared to ask. Beloved child, now let your heart open wide like a window welcoming the dawn, and lift to me your prayers from the deepest place of your soul. Do not hurry over words, for I look into the heart. Let the utterances flow, sometimes as whispers, sometimes as cries, sometimes as the plain song of a believer. I will receive, I will understand, and I will transform them into incense rising to my throne. Almighty God, I kneel before you with a heart still carrying the dust of life's road. You know well the years I have lived, racing against the clock, trying to make up for losses, striving to prove my worth, hiding tears that fell in the night. But today I hear your voice reminding me that I need no longer wrestle with time. You are the Redeemer of the past, the one who turns wasted years into harvest in the present. Teach me to breathe more slowly, to see blessings in every moment, and to trust that each day holds new grace. I place the wounds of my past into your hands, make of them fertile soil from which good fruit will grow. Father, at times my body grows weary and I feel as though I cannot take another step. But you are the giver of life. You know every cell, every breath. Lay your healing hand upon me, renew my strength as the eagle rises on the wind. Calm my heartbeat, strengthen my bones, refresh my muscles that I may serve you and love others well. Teach me to honor this body as your temple, to rest when I must and to rise when it is time. You are my strength when I am weak, my motivation when I am discouraged. Gracious Father, so often my mind is a battlefield. Accusations, anxieties, and comparisons surge like storms. Many nights I lie awake, dwelling on things beyond my control. But you have promised that I may lie down in peace, for you never slumber. Teach my mind to rest in the certainty of your love. Breathe clarity into my thoughts, that I may discern what truly matters and release the burdens that are not mine to bear. Be my comforter. Grant me a calm spirit so I may stand firm when negative thoughts rise. Eternal Father, at last I place my whole life upon your altar. I do not wish to cling to anything outside your will. I surrender my mind, my heart, my body, my family, my work, my dreams, and even my fears to you. Use me as you desire for your glory, and let me be a channel of grace. Do not allow me to live for fleeting applause, but for eternal faithfulness. May I end each day in your embrace and begin each morning in your light. Merciful Lord, I thank you that you are always near. Not for a single moment am I abandoned. Even when I fall, you uphold me. Even when I fail, you call my name. I am grateful for your constant presence, like the fire by night in the desert, like the cloud by day that guides the way. O God, I thank you for family, for loved ones at my side, for friends who walk with me. Though imperfect, they are part of the journey, the place where I learn to love and forgive. I thank you for small conversations, for embraces, for tears and laughter. I know they are all gifts from you. Faithful Lord, I thank you that the future rests in your hands. I need not know every answer, for you already do. I give thanks that dawn is certain, that miracles are already on the way, and that hope never dies in you. I am grateful to walk with you and to awaken each day to fresh grace. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so together we may build a strong community of faith.